we see a message from Bissell detailing the place and time for the delivery of the troops. This was necessary, according to Alencia, to provide reinforcements for her army if they wanted to defeat her uncle. Although it was risky to send so many people under the pretext of simply searching for Reef, everything was planned to go unnoticed. However, they first needed to locate him before returning to the fortress, which could cause additional issues, such as not being able to use their attack dragon. Taking the dragons would make their intentions far too obvious. This condition displeased Rard since, if his uncle appeared with his new sword, it would be like jumping into a hopeless abyss. For this reason, Riff decided he would go. Even though Rister insisted it was impossible because Riff was the most wanted man on the planet and useless without magic, Riff knew his dragon control was at 100%, making him useful. Seeing that he might lose the argument, Rister recalled that he, too, could control dragons, so his presence on the mission would make them all more effective. Jill, for her part, tried to explain to her husband that her brother was only doing this out of concern for him. However, Rave, as always, asked Rister to be his assistant if he was so determined to look after him. Alencia interrupted them, stating that it was impossible for her to leave their current location since there was a chance her uncle might appear to visit her. If she were absent, it would raise suspicions. Moreover, if her brothers were discovered, quick action from her current position might save them. Alencia also explained that the destination was 2 days away from the city by horseback. For this reason, Rister and Teodis were ordered by their brother not to do anything reckless for 48 hours. Then they could reunite with their brothers. Although everything was expected to go well, there was always the possibility that they might never see each other again. Returning safely became their final order. Even Jilkin, due to her size, found it strange to hear these words, but Alencia asked the young girl to take care of her family for her, a mission the girl immediately accepted. Thus, they set off on horseback, accompanied by Camila as a bodyguard and Lawrence as their guide due to his experience in the area. When Z arrived, he reported that no one was nearby since he had gotten lost for a few hours. However, thanks to his incredible intellect, he quickly rejoined the group. While Rister had doubts about their guides and bodyguards, Jay reassured him that, despite appearances, they were the most professional in the area. Still, Rister kept teasing Lawrence with trivialities, such as where and when they would sleep, and even slapped the blonde's horse to see who would reach the Allied troops first. Even so, Jill seemed to enjoy knowing that her future still preserved the good friends she had in the past. Reeve also realized that the three fools before him would soon become great friends. However, seeing that Lawrence was one of those fools, Ray jokingly asked if she preferred blonde fools over dark-haired ones. Jill wanted to know if the teasing had begun, but Ritz's refusal to answer was a clear sign of annoyance at someone trying to steal his wife. Perhaps it would be best to get rid of them quickly, but with Rister's calming influence, that was impossible. Rister clarified to his beloved that these were just rumors, as he had approached the enemy while washing their underwear. This reminded Reef of a particularly attractive individual with perfect laughter and blonde hair who had once told him a similar story. This only raised more suspicions in Reef, who felt he was being lied to. The tension had to be calmed again by Rister, who reminded Reef of his sister's words and asked him to behave properly. After a while, Reef sought advice from Camila, believing his girlfriend was about to betray him and not knowing what to do. Camila tried to give him a lesson in handling relationships, but he dismissed it as nonsense. However, Camila had strong points, such as pointing out that Reef had every reason to be jealous. It was indeed strange to be so friendly with a stranger, and Camila herself noticed that Lawrence approached at every opportunity. All signs pointed to something suspicious, especially now that they were on a special mission with Reef's brother, the prince, the most important emperor of the kingdom, and yet he allowed Lawrence to join the group just like that. Jill, unable to reveal that she came from the future, only explained that it was because Lawrence worked for Prince Gerald, a fact that turned out to be worse news than anything else. For Camila, having an ally of the enemy made no sense. This prompted the young girl to reveal that her older sister had been taken to the palace of the Empress of the South under King Kratos. This reminded Camila that the Southern King, despite his title, lived like a beetle in his immense castle. This was precisely why Lawrence was constantly working to obtain rank promotions, because by earning a bit more trust with the kingdom of Kratos, he might eventually save his sister from the Southern King. Suddenly, in the middle of this, someone woke up screaming, which prompted Riff to change the topic to how much he enjoyed being with Jill. During the long journey, Jill took the opportunity to ask why someone like Riff allowed her so much freedom, given that emperors' wives were typically controlled. Rif simply replied that he wanted to see what she could accomplish when free in this world. Even when Jill asked what would happen if that freedom led her to commit bad actions, Rif said it didn't matter, as in the end, after any betrayal, he would always be the last one standing. This phrase made Jill realize that Rif still believed he would eventually be betrayed. For this reason, the young woman silently vowed once more that Rif would never be alone in this world again. Night fell quickly, and Camilla offered her brother the position of guard. However, Lawrence appeared at that moment, wondering if it might be a trap. If Prince Bissell wished, he could gain his uncle's favor by capturing them. Even if it wasn't a trap, this difficult journey lay ahead, and the mere thought of it prompted Lawrence to start preparing for such a scenario. He suspected the plan might have been orchestrated by Rister or Alencia for that reason. If captured, the best course of action would be to pretend to be allies and later find a way to gain an advantage. Although Z didn't want to discuss this, Lawrence found it important because if they were captured with Rif among them, Alencia would most likely surrender to recover her brothers. As unpleasant as it sounded, it was possible, which would mark the end of Rave as the true emperor but not of his consort. For this reason, Jill was the second highest priority for everyone. Out of curiosity, the blonde wanted to know if she had been mentioned. Camilla confirmed that they had only spoken about her younger sister being trapped in the south. This led him to question why someone with a family member in trouble would embark on a mission in another kingdom. Lawrence then revealed that he often wrote letters to his older sister, ensuring she was at least eating well. Moreover, the king had no interest in her, which somewhat calmed the situation for the moment. Before continuing their conversation, Lawrence asked for silence upon hearing a noise. It was the dragons patrolling the forest, and Camilla quickly recognized the Scarlet Dragon leader. For the blonde, this wasn't much of an issue, as Rif could save them in the worst-case scenario. They immediately consulted the young man's map to determine where to regroup in case of trouble, with the dragon nests as the safest bet. With luck, the dragons might ignore them, allowing them to regroup and devise a countermeasure. Beyond this, they knew Jill was dangerous since they didn't have many allies, and having a crazed spirit from Kratos after her didn't help matters. This showed that Lawrence was indeed interested in Jill, but Camilla knew it was impossible at this point, as Rave had won her over months ago. Rave himself had even mentioned something similar in the past when he asked that, in the worst-case scenario, Jill be saved, as the consort of the dragon was as important as he was. This entire conversation left Lawrence feeling sleepy. After he went to rest, something seemed to hurt Camilla deep inside. He didn't like that the newcomer was such a nice guy, which clashed with his desire to wait a while and break up with him once and for all. That's how the next day came, and the tour guide, Lawrence, recounted how this area used to be a river. However, a dragon decided to turn it into a nest, leaving it without any water. Since nests are sacred here, they were forced to take an alternative route near it. This reminded Jill of how Reef had told her that not even he could go to the dragon nests alone. But remembering better, he knew that was only when he wasn't their emperor. So perhaps, just perhaps, nothing bad would happen to them. At that moment, we once again see the Scarlet Dragon leader flying overhead with Alencia, suggesting something urgent had occurred. Not wasting time, they went to ask what was going on. The night before, their dragon seemed to be searching for something, and Alencia, apologizing in advance, ended up capturing Jill. Apparently, she had set a trap for her family. While she asked Jill to understand the situation, George appeared, urging Alencia to stop apologizing for doing what was right for her nation. Immediately, the guards were ordered to end Reef's life. Left begging to save his siblings, Reef saw nearby guards fall as he fought back. Although RT could have betrayed him, he decided to help, devising a plan to save him. However, Reef, realizing the situation, knew it was best to face the danger alone. He took solace in the fact that there were still people in this world who wouldn't betray him. Calling on Shiro for energy to fight, Shiro admitted he didn't have enough power yet to face his uncle's false sword. Still, Reef summoned a tornado to protect his people and draw Alencia's dragon closer, trying to take control of the situation. Despite being weakened, he showed he still had magic to fight, even overpowering his uncle in clashes. Although he nearly took his sister's life, Jill managed to stop him, despite having been betrayed. Jill chose to focus on the positives, like everyone's survival, leaving Reef to rest with no more to do. However, despite their victory, George decided to discard Ale, deeming him a useless hostage. He threw him into the air and finished him off with his dragon's fire. After everything, Reef ended up captured, leaving RT stunned since he hadn't done much in the battle. However, because Reef used his magic to save them, they respected his wishes and escaped safely. Lawrence's plans seemed close to execution, but with enemy soldiers nearby, it might not be possible. At that moment, something jumped out of Jill's bag to activate its final defense. A teddy bear equipped with laser beams.